I told you I'd be back. As you can see, here's a replacement car for the C4S. What we have here is a 2011 911 Turbo S. Alright guys, so here I am, 2 weeks in a row, proving some of you guys wrong, proving myself wrong actually for making another video, not 2 years apart. So here we have it. This is the replacement for the 2009 C4S that I sold and talked about in my previous video. This is a 997.2 as well. It's a 2011 911 Turbo S, and man, is this thing beautiful. I am so happy. I've searched for, gosh, I think it was about 8 months from the time I started searching right after I sold my last car to the time that I actually paid for this one. So, man, it was a long search. Hard to find the right car. Maybe I'll go and do another video really in detail of my spreadsheets and how I did all my searching and criteria and things like that. But right now, I'm just going to show you around the car, show you some of the specs on it, and man, yeah, it's just gorgeous, and I'm over the moon about it. I've only driven it a couple times so far, but it's awesome. So like I mentioned in my last video, a turbo, or a Turbo S in this case, has always been the car for me growing up. Seeing it on Top Gear, playing with it in Forza, it's always been the goal, it's always been the dream. So like I mentioned previously, that the C4S was a good stepping stone to that, especially the 997.2 variant. Growing up with the 997, I think it's just got the best proportions, the best looks, and just kind of the best balance of new and old for what I'm looking for. So the 997.2 is always going to be the platform for me, just being the most optimized 997 variation. So that's really what drew me to getting one of these. So that was always in the cards. Just a matter of how soon it was going to happen was obviously the key factor there is to making that happen. But things aligned, and we were able to make that happen. So that's the reasoning, really, just behind moving from a C4S to a turbo is my heart. It's always been what I've wanted. Whether it's significantly different or not is up for debate. Obviously it's got more power, it's faster, it looks a little bit different, but to the average eye, it's just another 911. So why is it worth more? Well, again, up for debate, but I love it. I have no complaints thus far. On a grand scale, there's things I want to change, and I'll get into that as well. But yeah, that's really the reasoning behind moving to this Turbo S from the C4S after such a short period of time. All right, so let's get into the specification of this car in particular. So like I mentioned, this is a 2011 Turbo S, so it comes with a PDK. All Turbo S's of this generation came with a PDK standard with no manual option. To me, that wasn't important coming from a PDK car. I know how good it is, even in the first generation. So really wasn't a concern, but that's the model. So I have the build sheet here. I'm going to kind of run through it and show you each option individually. Starting off with the color. This color is GT Silver Metallic, which is one of my favorite non-crazy Porsche colors. I really stayed away from the blacks and the whites and some of the more common colors. Now granted, silver is not exactly super rare, but they did make a platinum silver and an Arctic silver, and so the GT silver is a little bit more rare because it was an expensive option at the time. It was actually a $3,140 paint option for a silver. So not as many people were willing to pay that premium just for silver when you could get platinum silver for free. Now I think GT silver is the best looking silver. Obviously that's my opinion. Maybe I'm biased now, but it was a color that I was looking for in particular, so I'm glad I was able to find it. Now, the 997.2 Turbo S came standard with center lock wheels. They look awesome. from the center lock perspective, but they are a big hassle. A 5-lug option was a no-cost option, but this car came with the standard center locks. It came with the 19-inch spider wheels that you've seen on a lot of the Turbo S's, some turbos, as well as the GTS models from this era. Now this car didn't come with those. Those were removed and replaced with these wheels, which are a lot nicer and they're pretty sick. These are BBS FIR wheels. They are forged, fully forged wheel. These are a 20-inch instead of 19-inch. So these are a 20 by 9 in the front with a 20 by 11.5 in the rear. Stock sizes are 19 by 8.5 and 19 by 11. So a little bit wider and a little bit bigger, more aggressive, but they're a lot lighter. I think they're about 17 and 19 pounds respectively for the front and back. As you can see, they have some of these cutouts in here to remove material, which I think helps with that, but also the fact that they're fully forged, reduces the weight. Now, Turbo S's also came standard with carbon ceramic brakes. These ones are in great condition. The only thing is the previous owner did use some more aggressive wheel cleaners, which has tarnished the clear coat and caused that to peel a little bit. So I'll be refinishing those, which I'm sure I'll document on here. Kind of a quirky feature that this car has is the rear wiper. Not a lot of people option these because they came standard with no wiper, so it was an optional extra, and it was around $350. So kind of quirky, kind of cool. Some people hate them, some people love them. I think it's kind of neat. It does make it, stand out a little bit. But yeah, just kind of a fun little feature that is kind of, you kind of live without it, but why not take it, right? Another optional extra that this car has is XM radio. Now, the fact that that was an option back then still kind of blows my mind. It was a $750 option. So kind of crazy to think that people would be willing to pay that, considering this car has iPod connectivity and Bluetooth and whatnot, but hey, they paid for it. So $750 gets you this little antenna. All right, so the final option that this car has on the exterior is the painted lower fascia. So it comes with the painted lower front lip, the painted side skirts, and then the painted lower diffuser. Without that package, these are all just black ABS plastic all the way around the bottom of the car, which is a little more durable. You can kind of bash this up on some stuff and it doesn't get deformed quite as bad, but it doesn't look as premium or as cohesive in my opinion. So it's a really good look. I do like it a lot. Just definitely have to be careful with it because it also is not a cheap part to replace. Now this car in particular had the side skirts replaced with GT2 side skirts and then had them repainted to match. So as you can see, there's a bit of a flare out in that region. The stock Turbo and Turbo S side skirts are just smooth, straight down to the bottom. These ones kind of flare out and then go down around. So that's the difference between GT2 and a Turbo S side skirt. But previous owner had the GT2 skirts put on and painted to match, which I think looks pretty slick, and it's also the only time I've ever seen that, so it's a pretty unique thing to do, I think. The other exterior modification that the previous owner made was he added lowering springs. So as you might have noticed in some of the shots before, it is a bit lower than stock. It has H&R lowering springs, which brings it down about 1 inch to 1.25 inches. So it's a pretty significant drop, but it looks awesome. But it is low. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot of room here for going up driveways and curbs and things like that. So you really do have to be careful. And like I mentioned, with the painted front lip, it will get scuffed up pretty badly if you're not careful. So it looks awesome, not the most practical thing, but I do like it a lot. This car also came option with the parking sensors, the park assist. So what that is just the parking sensors in the rear bumper. It just beeps at you as you get close to things as you back up. There's no visual representation or anything like that. The beeping just speeds up a little bit. Kind of helpful, but the visibility is so good out of the back of these cars that it's really not an important feature to have, but it has it. Now I'm almost certain everyone who watches my videos knows exactly what this car comes with, but if you don't know, it comes with a 3.8 liter twin turbo flat 6, makes 530 horsepower stock. This car does have a tune on it, It has a Evo MS intelligent tuning dyno tune from the previous owner. I have the dyno sheet. I'll post it on the screen. I believe it's around 570-ish horsepower, 580, something like that. So it's quick enough. Definitely quick enough for the street. Now on the internet, that's nothing, but the internet is dumb and I don't like it. So it's fast for me. But yeah, that's what the engine bay looks like. It's clean, it's spotless. Yeah, nothing else really to report back here. Stock exhaust. It's really quiet. We'll be fixing that soon. Now, as we step into the interior, you'll notice that it is a dark interior. It looks basically black. It's actually called dark gray natural leather. So if you look right here with the black plastic and where the leather meet, you can kind of see the leather is just a very, very light shade lighter. One shade lighter than the black. It looks black in person. You really can't tell the difference, but it's called natural dark gray leather. Now, the only difference between black and natural dark gray is natural leather was an option, regular leather was standard. So what does that mean? What is the natural leather? The natural leather is allegedly just their better cut of cow. It has less conditioning or something. I've got to read more about it, but it's essentially just the premium leather that Porsche optioned at the time. So that was about a $1,800, $1,900 option to get the nicer leather. Most people probably wouldn't notice. It is really nice, but if you might have to have them next to each other to really be like, oh, this is nicer. My previous car had the standard black leather, which was also really nice. So really hard to say, but it has that option. Kind of cool, kind of unique, but really not a big deal. As we move further into the interior, there isn't a whole lot of options to be had in here. Turbo S's came pretty loaded from the factory as it is. So the only other options they had were some more trinkety things, adding leather bits here and there, some extra trim pieces or things like that. The biggest ones in here are really just the multi-stage heated seats. You can see right there's the button for it. Now those are hooked up to the sport seats, the adaptive sport seats. So it has 18-way. You can adjust the bolster here, the bolsters here, the lumbar, the tilt, the height, the recline, all that stuff. So they are actually the most comfortable seats I've ever been in. Coming from the carbon buckets, they're definitely not as tight, but they are sufficient for sure. The only other interior option to note would be the crests in the headrest. Again, more of a trinkety thing, looks kind of cool, but not that important. Back seats are folded down, but again, the car is pretty immaculate. Very happy with it. Turbo S's came standard with the sport wheel with the PDK paddles. Standard with the leather. Obviously this has the upgraded leather, but standard leather was standard option. Whereas on Carreras and other models it was just plastic. So turbos and Turbo S's came fairly loaded from the factory. So if we add up all of those options to the price of this car, when the car was new and it was sold in 2010, June of 2010, the base price was $160,700. With those options that we pointed out, that price comes up to $169,690 in 2010. So it was an expensive car, and now they are, half the price. Maybe not quite half the price, but close to it. So they're a pretty darn good deal in my opinion, and I don't think they're going to go down any lower. So yes, definitely an expensive car. But that also means maintenance and things like that is also expensive. So we'll get into that as those things come up. Hopefully nothing major, but that is definitely something in the back of my head that I've been thinking about prior to this purchase is just planning for some things that may come up that aren't going to be cheap. Now if we adjust that cost to $2024, as we know inflation is a bit high, some might say. So that cost today would be $243,054 for this car in today's dollars new. Now that aligns perfectly with the current state of 911 turbos and Turbo S's and where they're priced today. A Turbo S, I believe, starts around 220, or maybe it's 230, somewhere in the 200s. But it's a lot. So they're basically as much as they were then, they are now with inflation. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's the main overview of my 2011 911 Turbo S. Have some mods that I would like to do. Like I mentioned, it is lowered. It has the wheels, has PPF on the front end, tint, things like that. I definitely want to get an exhaust. This has a stock exhaust, and it is extremely quiet for a car this fast and this cool. It does sound like a vacuum cleaner. They're not lying. They sound exactly like a vacuum cleaner. So that will be coming. Hopefully something a bit more aggressive to really make the experience a little bit more enjoyable. But man, is it fast. But like I said, exhaust is coming. Refinishing the calipers is coming. New wheels potentially either this year or next. Likely going back to the OEM 19-inch diameter. But yeah, many more videos to come. Like I said, I'll do some market videos, some cost of ownership videos. All of that will be coming. So stay tuned for that. And I promise, I'm not lying, guys. I'm gonna make more videos. I'm not lying. This is proof right here. We made one last week. We're making one this week. We're gonna try to make one next week, probably. I don't know, but that's the plan. So yes, this is it. 2011 911 Turbo S, the new main car on the channel. If you have any questions, things you want to see, definitely let me know. But other than that, thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one.